ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो
भगवते
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
नारायण नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वती व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय
कृष्णाय भूतले
भक्ति
भक्ति
वेदांत
वेदांत स्वामी नामिने
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी
देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे।
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1st, Chapter 8, Shlok 15. यद्यपि अस्त्रं ब्रह्मशीरस्
यद्यप्यस्त्रं ब्रह्मशीरस्
त्वमोघं चाप्रतिक्रियम्
त्वमोघं च प्रतिक्रियम्
वैष्णवं तेज आसाद्य
वैष्णवं तेज आसाद्य
समशाम्यद् भृगुद्वः
समशाम्यद्भृगुद्वः।
Okay, any volunteers would like to read the translation?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I can do.
Please, Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Translation. O Saunaka, glory of Bhrigu's family, although the supreme Brahmastra weapon released by Aswathama was irresistible and without check or counter action, it was neutralized and foiled when confronted by the strength of Vishnu, Lord Krishna. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Brahm Jyoti, or the glowing transcendental effulgence, is resting on Lord Sri Krishna. In other words, the glowing effulgence known as Brahma Tejas is nothing but the rays of the Lord, just as the sun rays are rays of the sun disk. So this Brahma weapon also, although materially irresistible, could not surpass the supreme strength of the Lord. The weapon called Brahmastra, released by Aswathama, was neutralized and foiled by Lord Shri Krishna by his own energy. That is to say, he did not wait for any other's help because he is absolute. Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji, if you can explain. I think I understood, but yeah, it will be nice if you explain.
Yes, Mataji, all the devotees can share whatever they would like to. I can start by sharing a few words here. So in the translation is mentioned, O Shaunaka, glory of Bhrigu's family, although the supreme Brahmastra weapon released by Aswathama was irresistible and without check or counter action, it was neutralized and foiled when confronted by the strength of Vishnu, Lord Krishna. So who's saying this shloka? Who's speaking?
Sutta Goswami.
So it's being spoken by Sutta Goswami because it's addressed to Shaunak Rishi, right? So he's saying, so from this it appears Shaunak Rishi comes in the family of Bhrigu Maharaj, Bhrigu Rishi. And we see many times Brahmastra is understood to be the ultimate weapon. That, oh, if this Brahmastra is released, then there's a very high, less chances that anything anybody can do. Similarly, the benedictions of the great demigods or the Lord, they are understood to be so powerful that they will happen. So when the great sages or demigods or somebody gives a benediction to someone, then invariably we see that those benedictions they do work. Now, why they do work? Because Lord is allowing them to work. It is not that the Lord has no power over it. It's like Hiranyakashyap got a benediction that he will not die in the air, he will not die here, there, he will not die by any person. It's not that the Lord had to obey it. Krishna could have still killed him and there would have been no problems. But Krishna generally likes to keep the words of his devotees and the great personalities, the Brahmanas, the demigods, like that. And that is the reason he let it happen. So therefore, we see that Lord, if he wants, he will obey. If he doesn't need or doesn't want it to happen in that way, he doesn't have to. Like in this case, Brahmastra weapon is going. So that doesn't mean that the Brahmastra will actually get what it was released for. No. By the efforts of Ashwatthama, he was able to get some power. So he was releasing this Brahmastra weapon. But then what? It is not necessary that Brahmastra, although it is very, very powerful, there is practically no chance that Brahmastra will miss its target. That doesn't happen. It's unheard of. But when Krishna permits, then only it happens. It happens only by the sanction of the Lord. He is the ultimate sanctioner. No matter whatever anything anybody can come to, but if he doesn't want it to happen in that way, it will not happen. Like for example, in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we see this great Keshav Kashmiri, who was a great Pandit, scholar, very, very knowledgeable. He could defeat anybody. And it was never a case that anybody could defeat him. He was personally given the benediction by Mother Saraswati. And he was a great devotee of Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning and education. So he was a great Pandit. He knew all the scriptures. But when he came in front of Nimai, who was just a simple school teacher, and Nimai asked him, "Oh, you're a great person. Please, why don't you compose something glorifying Mother Ganges, Mother Ganga?" And he immediately on the spot recited a 1,000-verse poem, which he just composed. Now that's an amazing art, amazing work. And beautifully was glorifying Mother Ganges. And Nimai, being the Supreme Lord, he said, "Oh, very nice, great. You did very nice. Now let's go a little bit ahead. Let's analyze this poem, which you just recited, and let's see what are the good points in this and what are the deficiencies." He was shocked. He said, "Deficiency? My work has no deficiency." And practically his work, nobody could find any deficiency in his work before. But here in this situation, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nimai told what section, what part, which he told the 1,000 verses, and Lord was ready to repeat all the 1,000 verses. He knew which number verse had what defect. And he told. And then this Nimai, he was able to easily defeat this great Pandit. And this great Pandit could not speak anything. He was totally blank. This never happened in his life. But now, because he was blank, Nimai did not want him to feel insulted. So he said, oh, no problem, no problem. He just came from a long journey. Came from a long journey and you must be tired. So why don't you take rest? We'll discuss about all these details tomorrow. And that way, even though he was defeated, Lord did not allow him to get very much insulted. And that is the reason he understood this man, he is really special. And then he was very, very upset, sad, went home, and then was praying to Mother Saraswati. And then Mother Saraswati came and she revealed that he is the Lord of my Lord, actually. He is the ultimate person, Nimai. So you are defeated by him, you are fortunate. So we see that demigods may be able to give so many benediction. People go for demigod benediction, but it may not work. Like here, the Brahmastra weapon did not work for Ashwatthama. But if you see, even in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, many other weapons were released, and Krishna was protecting everybody in the side of Pandavas. I mean, all the 4 or 5 Pandavas. So Krishna was protecting them all. So therefore, he was not defeated. Yes. So all these 5 brothers, nobody could kill them. There are narrations of how different kind of weapons were released. There were astras like Narayanastra, right? Narayanastra. And there were so many other astras which were used. And there were specific ways of dealing with each one of them, which sometimes Krishna told Pandavas to follow. And sometimes by his own will, he could just protect without any problems. So this is how Lord is the ultimate sanctioner. If he doesn't sanction something, it will not happen. And also he's the ultimate protector, because he protected Parikshit Maharaj here. Rakhe Krishna, Mare Krishna,
Rakhe ke.
yes. If Krishna wants to,
Save you, nobody can kill you.
and if Krishna wants to kill
Kill
you,
you, nobody can save you.
yes. So we can choose which category we want to be in. If we want to be on the category in which Krishna is the whole sole object of our worship, devotion, and service, then we are saved. Krishna will know what is the best time and how we should leave this body. And till then, he will protect us. Till then, he will engage. And more than the body, Krishna protects one's devotion, one's spiritual life. Even though we may be very unsure about how our spiritual life will go, but if we are serious and sincere about surrendering and submitting to Krishna and wanting to serve Krishna, then Krishna will make arrangements that our spiritual life will be protected. Just like here, a small child who's not even born, practically he's in the form of an embryo in the womb of the mother, helpless, and that living entity is saved by Krishna. Similarly, our spiritual life also is in helpless situation, very, very small, tiny, not even born practically. So Krishna protected. To the extent we take shelter of the holy name, to the extent we take shelter of devotees, association of devotees, shelter of the scriptures, humble ourselves, avoid any offenses to the Vaishnavas and render service to the Vaishnavas, and chant very attentively. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the devotees can kindly share if anybody has any points from the shloka. I'll stop here. So should we move forward? Anybody would like to say anything? I'm not hearing anyone.
Prabhuji, I just want to say one line that is very commonly used in Jagannath Puri and very relevant for this sloka. So in Odia, we generally say, I'm speaking in Odia of that phrase, and I will explain what is that meaning. It is said like, Doro kahaku, bhayo kahaku, joga achi choubahaku. Means Doro kahaku, bhayo ka matlab jar kiska, bhay kiska, joga basichi choubahaku. Matlab God is there for with his four-hand form and he is protecting us. So that is very similar to this, related to this sloka. So we should not fear anything if we are in the devotional service of the Jagannath, and which Jagannath is there to protect us in all kind of situations, whether it is cyclone, whether it is any calamity, whether it is any disease. Just have the full devotional and full faith in God, and you will be saved.
Thank you, Rohit. Very nice, very nice. Great. Excellent. Anybody else would like to share any points? Okay, who would like to read the Sanskrit of this next shloka? 1:8:16. Okay, I'll read. Mamam stahi etad ascharyam.
Mamansta hi etad ascharyam
Sarvascharya.
sarvascharyamayechyute
सर्वाश्चर्येऽमि उच्यते
Ya idam maya devya.
ya
या इदं मायया देव्या
Srijati avati hantyaja.
सृजति अवति हन्त्यज.
Who will read the translation and purport?
I can read for you, just 1 minute. Okay. Translation. O Brahmanas, do not think this is to be especially wonderful in this activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. By his own transcendental energy, he creates, maintains, and annihilates all material things, although he himself is unborn. Perfect. The activities of the Lord are always inconceivable to the tiny brain of the living entities. Nothing is impossible for the Supreme Lord, but all his actions are wonderful for us, and thus he is always beyond the range of our conceivable limits. The Lord is all powerful, all perfect personality of Godhead. The Lord is 100% perfect, whereas other, namely Narayana, Brahma, Shiva, and demigods, are all other living beings, possesses only different percentages of such perfection. No one is equal or greater than him. He is unrivaled. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for reading. Would like to share something from this?
So Prabhuji, in this, they're only glorifying Lord Shri Krishna and saying that his activities of the Lord are always inconceivable to our tiny brains of the living entities. So if a normal person try to understand Krishna, who do not read the scriptures or do not understand the scriptures from the spiritual master, it is very difficult for them to understand that how Lord is so powerful. How can he can do all these leelas? But the one who's actually on the transcendental level or completely surrendered to Lord can very much understand the Lord pastimes. So that is why it's written here that he is always beyond the range of our conceivable limits. So because all his leelas is in trance or on the spiritual level, we have to go to that level to understand a tiny bit of his power. But until we are not on the spiritual level, it is very difficult to understand him with the limit of our tiny brains. And he's 100% perfect. And all the demigods and Narayana, Brahma, and Shiva possesses only different percentage of such perfection. So we see that how much Brahmaji, Shiva, and Narayana, how they are so powerful. Like they are creating the universes and annihilation Shiva is doing, and how much powerful is that? And those demigods and these three, like Lord Brahma, Shiva, and Narayana, possesses only a different percentage. It's nothing to in the comparison of what Lord Krishna possesses and how powerful they are. So that's why the Lord is nobody is equal to him. He's the greatest, and he is unrivaled. So I don't know the meaning of this, Prabhuji. You can explain. Hare Krishna.
Meaning of what, Mataji?
This unrivaled or I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly or not.
No rivals. He cannot have anybody who can
Defeat him. Okay.
I think. So here, Mataji nicely explained that how the Lord is actually not just simply doing some, some mistake or some, magical thing. The activities of the Lord are on a different realm. Like, for example, in this material world, we see many times somebody shows some magic, or somebody achieves some success, or somebody does some, activity which cannot be done by others. So then they start telling that person could be God, and even he claims as God. Like so many Babas and so many others are there who become God, and then their followers worship them as God. Actually, all this is just because they showed some magic to them or did some tiny little thing. Somebody can produce gold from mouth or here and there. But if you see, there are so many examples of history, Tihasas, where there are persons who were able to, like Parasmani, for example, able to create gold. In fact, there were people like Ravan whose whole city was made of gold. So therefore, yes. So all these people are there. Ravan, Kumbhakarna, Meghnad, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashyap, they could do such acts which you can't even imagine. They're much more than what some of the people in this day and age who are claiming to be God can do. Those people can do much more than that. But still, they were not God. So similarly, gods, these activities, let's say Brahmastra was thrown and somehow it did not kill Ashwathama, that actually happened because Krishna protected and prevented. And why? It is not something unusual for the Lord, because he is doing so many amazing things. He is doing so many wonderful, amazing, and glorious things that it should not be a great surprise for us that, oh, how this happened or something. Right? So also Prabhupada is comparing here with other demigods and telling how Narayan, Brahma, Shiva, these demigods, they may be very powerful, but they have only a small percentage of the real perfection, but Supreme Lord, he's 100% perfect. All right. Anybody else would like to share anything?
Yes.
Nobody has any other points? Okay, who will? Yes.
ना रिसेंटली इंसिडेंट है कि हम लोग ऐसे ही बैठे थे, कोई बात कर रहे थे, तो ऐसी बात चली थोड़ा इस्कॉन पे ना कि अच्छा ऐसे ऐसे, तो सब अपने व्यूज, तो कोई बोलता है कि देखो वैसे तो लॉर्ड शिवा भी तो इतने पावरफुल, तो हम तो भगवान की, हम तो लॉर्ड शिवा को मानते हैं। ऐसी चीजें शेयर करूँ प्रभु जी की ना, वो तो उन्होंने, और वो तो जो है इतना, मतलब इसलिए कुछ भी ड्रिंक करना, ये करना जो है वो कोई ऐसा गलत नहीं होता, मतलब क्योंकि भगवान जो शिव होते हैं ना, वो भी तो इतना सारा मतलब सब करते हैं, तो थोड़ा बहुत अगर इंसान भी कर लेता है तो कुछ ऐसा गलत नहीं होता, क्योंकि वो तो भगवान का प्रसाद ही होता है। तो ऐसे ही बात करते करते, तो फिर मैंने ऐसे एग्जाम्पल में मैंने कहा वैसे तो बात तो ठीक है, लेकिन मैंने कहा वैसे भगवान शिव तो जो है ना वो ऐसे कैलाश पे रहते हैं, बिना ऐसे कपड़ों के, इतनी ठंड में रहते हैं, और मैंने कहा ऐसे समाधि भी लेते हैं, और मैंने कहा उन्होंने ना ऐसे कंठ में भी ऐसे विष जो है वो धारण कर लिया था। मैंने कहा तो एक्चुअली जब हम उन्हें फॉलो करते हैं ना, तो हमें काफी कंप्लीटली फॉलो करना चाहिए, तो मैंने कहा ये भी चीजें ट्राई करनी चाहिए कभी कभी ऐसे लाइफ में ना, तो हमें उनकी पावर का पता चलेगा, तो तब हम ऐसे प्रॉपर फॉलोअर बन सकते हैं कि हाँ। तो अभी लॉर्ड शिवा का नाम है और ये दिखा कि हाउ पावरफुल दे आर, तो जस्ट रिमाइंडेड मी दैट इंसिडेंट। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्णा, वेरी नाइस, थैंक यू माता जी फॉर शेयरिंग। तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि people should do this first before they try to mimic great personalities. They should do those activities which are totally not in control of them. Like for example, Mata nicely mentioned drinking poison and holding in the neck, not letting it go, or living in Kailash. Similarly, many times people try to mimic Lord Krishna, and Prabhupada used to say, before doing Ras Leela, first you lift the Govardhan. If you lift the Govardhan, then you can do Ras Leela. If you cannot lift the Govardhan on the tip of your little finger for 7 days and 7 nights, then don't talk about doing Ras Leela. So like that. Thank you, Mataji.
Prabhuji, forget about that little finger with all 4 leg and hand. One cannot raise a 50 kilo stone itself.
Exactly.
Forget about Govardhan Parvat.
Exactly. So people, these are just foolish arguments.
Yeah, and recently I was reading Ramayana, and at that there is a scene of Shiva's Lord Shiva's marriage with Parvati, and how he is get decorated with snacks and everything. So if we mimic, then mimic everything. Put, put,
Snakes in the neck.
put snacks in the neck as your like bracelet, as your earrings, as your everything, and every ornaments as snakes, small snakes, big snakes, all poisonous snakes. So try to mimic that also.
Great, yes. And then what about drinking alcohol? Lord Shiva never drank alcohol. At least I'm not aware.
I'm also not aware of that, but it's like that poison and this modern day alcohol are same in the similar.
Poison is same, but he kept it.
एक्चुअली प्रभु जी जो लोग ये लेते हैं ना भांग वगैरह, जो ये करते हैं, तो वो क्योंकि उससे भी नशा होता है, तो वो अब ना जिस चीज से भी ऐसे नशा होता है ना, दे स्टार्ट कंपेयरिंग कि अब वो तो स्पेकुलेशन है कि भगवान भी ऐसे करते हैं। जैसे बीच में somebody asked me, मैं जवाब तो नहीं दे पाई क्योंकि I didn't know much about it. So we were sitting and somebody said, कि why you should eat non-veg, because this is in scriptures that Sita Mata, why Sita Mata asked Ramji to get Hiran, because she wanted to eat. No, I was little surprised. I said, did you read it somewhere? No, we actually heard about this. मैंने कहा, no, actually there's more शास्त्रिक, but then people don't want to listen, तो थोड़ा सा change हो जाता है. But why people say like this, Prabhuji? That Sita Mata wanted to eat this.
Because they want to eat, that's why they want to justify. Mother Sita did not say kill. She said it's a wonderful.
I want to keep that deer in my ashram, something like that.
And then, of course, that was Yog Maya.
Dear to Ayodhya.
Yes. And then that was Yog Maya's influence in which was acting.
Prabhuji, some people also argue like both Krishna and Sri Krishna and Rama both are Kshatriya family, and Kshatriya generally eat non-veg. So they say they definitely eat. So they argue like that, but I don't get into that argument.
No, actually, if you are in the four ashramas, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, out of these first three, Brahman, Kshatriya, and Vaishyas, they don't eat non-vegetarian at all. Shudras, on rare circumstances, there may be some permissibility. But those who are allowed to eat are those who are uncivilized below these four. So Chandal, Malich, Yavan, all these are allowed to know. Now for Kshatriyas, because they are doing battle, they have to go out. So there are some exceptional cases for Kshatriyas. When you are out there in the battle and there is nothing there and you are stuck in a situation, then you may have to, and for that also, what is recommended is not to kill the animal and eat. You can eat some dead animal. Not that you go around killing. So you dead, if you get it, then you can eat. So like that, you can sustain yourself in emergency situation. Because, even now when you see soldiers, sometimes they are in places where they don't have anything. You may get stuck. So they have to find, they have to know what plants they can eat, what plants are not deadly. Even the animals there in whatever they may have to, but that doesn't mean that's their staple diet. I mean, when they're living, 99.99%, none of them is eating like that. So that exceptional situation is, is also part of their training. But that's not, that doesn't mean that Kshatriyas are allowed to eat meat.
Yeah, because many people take this emergency situation and talk it like as a norms kind of thing. So we should actually discard this kind of argument actually that.
No, basically for all practical purposes, this discussion is only happening because they are attached.
Right. Yeah.
If they are attached, then there is no point in discussing actually with them. Best is to encourage them if they can chant Hare Krishna. Because if we get into the argument of non-veg and veg and we try to explain, either they will not accept your arguments or they will start hating you. You think you are argumentative.
Yeah.
Because they are attached. So best is to see what they like and try to encourage them to do Krishna consciousness. And if in case they start this topic, then you have to tell them politely that if you really want to have discussion, we can have more discussion about it. But I'm not sure if you are ready to have the discussion in a unbiased, detailed manner. So we can talk about some other things, or we can have a scientific informed discussion in detail. And then there are so many articles. Actually, if you read articles, there are so many things mentioned by devotees. I think Chaitanya Charan Prabhu made a very, very powerful, nice chart of arguments of how this is detrimental. Then I've shared a video many times in the group, not so much in the recent few months, but previously, of one of the there are so many reasons, environmental reasons, and there are so many other reasons for this, which we can actually convey to them, show them those videos actually, because everybody likes to watch videos. So show them the videos which are nicely composed, showing how this is affecting the whole environment. So there are other ways to handle this problem rather than having to go. And if somebody says Ram did this, Sita did this, then you say, if you really want to know what they did, then you have to read from scriptures. Otherwise, if you go around hearing from other people, then you will not get the right. That is not the right way to get knowledge. Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. And one more
Yes,
point is,
Prabhuji.
some people say like, if you don't eat non-veg, then you will lose fitness, something. So for those kind of people, I feel that we ourselves become the example of having having good diet in vegetarian food and keeping with chanting, and we get proper peace of mind, and our body fitness is also good. So we can be the example for them. Instead of argue with those people, we should follow the principles, and by seeing the our group and our devotee society, they can learn that, okay, without non-vegetarian food also people can remain in a good health and good state of mind, and good behavior also we can expect from this people. So they can learn this way also.
Yes, Prabhuji, that's a good point. We can tell by our behavior and our example, but also it's a very foolish argument
Right.
that vegetarian diet is going to make you weak. They are idiots because they don't know the strongest animal on earth is the elephant,
Hmm.
and elephant is vegetarian,
Hmm.
doesn't need any non-veg.
Hmm.
So how is that not the case? And then the other thing is, there are so many bodybuilders now who are vegans.
Yeah.
In fact, from your Jagannath Puri, Prabhu, the
Mhm.
Jagannath Puri, there is one devotee there who is a bodybuilder. He won so many medals and everything. And every year he is the bodyguard, or he has the service of taking Lord Jagannath to the Rath. He is one of them, and he keeps an eye and protects, over there. He's a huge, like very powerful.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I can share one interview one of the devotees from ISKCON did for him.
Yeah.
So like that, there are so many examples. We don't have to, strive to become an example for these. Yes, by our behavior, by our, habits, definitely we can be example by staying in good health. But, as far as strength, bodybuilding, all these things are concerned, we have other people doing the service for us. So just share with them, and that is sufficient for any intelligent man to understand and come back to his senses.
Right.
In fact, we should tell how all the doctors know in the heart of their heart that all these things, non-veg food, is actually negatively affecting the health of the people, especially in America. Doctors know this. In India, they are still mad because, they have been brought up in a culture where Westerners proved them that, oh, whatever we are doing is better. So we are eating non-veg, that's better. So Indian doctors, some of them, and Indian people in general, many of them, they have this wrong notion that you will not get proper nutrition. But in America, people know this is right. In America, educated people, if you see, they will have no problem. If you tell them you're vegetarian, they immediately will start respecting you. They will be like, oh my God, this person is having discipline in his life. He's not someone who's going to. So they value this. They give you respect. Indians, on the other hand, they, like, for example, one of my acquaintance, or he's Indian, and I told him that I'm vegetarian. Oh, vegetarian? He was also in medical field. He's not doctor, but he's medical field. He's like, being a doctor, still vegetarian? I said, I became a doctor to save people, not to kill, and so he was quite And then I said, it's actually it is detrimental to the health to take non-veg. And then I told him, and then he was like, oh, okay. He realized he was not, and he genuinely was thinking that eating non-veg is he was not necessarily just saying it for argument, but he was very much thinking in this wrong way. But when I shared with him, he immediately understood that, okay, makes sense. Okay, anybody else would like to make any points? All right, so I think we are already, it's close to 9 now, right? So if anybody has any other question, comments, any points we can take, otherwise we'll conclude. It's 9:05. Thank you all the devotees for participating. We'll chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra for the well-being of all living entities. And we will continue our reading of this chapter tomorrow.